By the time you notice you are forgetting names, you haven't just had a senior moment. You have likely already lost up to 15% of your hippocampus. That is the memory center of your brain. Most people visualize aging as getting wrinkles or gray hair, but the most terrifying change is happening where you can't see it. Imagine a grape drying out in the sun, slowly turning into a raisin. That is literally what is happening to your brain matter right now. The ridges, known as gyri, are widening. The substance of who you are, your personality, your memories, your sharp wit, is physically evaporating. You walk into a room and suddenly stop, completely blanking on why you walked in there. You hold your car keys in your hand while frantically searching for them. You struggle to find a word that used to be on the tip of your tongue. We joke about brain fog or getting old, but biologically, these are the rumble strips before a cliff. This is your specific neural hardware signaling a system failure. Here is the frightening reality. This process, known as cerebral atrophy, doesn't start at age 70. Neuroimaging studies confirm it begins early as your 30s and 40s. The silent erosion of your gray matter is happening while you sleep, while you work, and especially while you eat. But this isn't a death sentence, it is a wake-up call. For decades, we were told that the brain you have is fixed, that once neurons die, they're gone forever. That was a lie. The latest neuroscience regarding neuroplasticity proves that your brain is not a static organ. It is a dynamic ecosystem. You have a human OS setting that can not only halt this shrinkage, but actually reverse it. We now know you can stimulate the production of new brain cells through a specific protein, often called Miracle-Gro for the brain. In the next 20 minutes, I am going to show you exactly how to toggle that switch. We're going to bypass the generic advice you've heard 1,000 times and get straight to the neurobiology of saving your mind. But before we can fix the machine, we have to stop the damage. Most people think they're keeping their brain sharp by doing crossword puzzles or Sudoku, but that is completely ignoring the real biological arsonist burning down your neurons. If you walk into any nursing home or doctor's office, you will see the same well-intentioned but scientifically bankrupt advice plastered on the walls. Keep your mind sharp, do a crossword puzzle, learn a new language. We have been sold a billion-dollar lie by the brain training industry. We are told that the brain is like a muscle, and if we just rep out enough Sudoku puzzles, we can bench press our way out of dementia. Here is the brutal truth. Trying to stop brain shrinkage with a crossword puzzle is like trying to put out a forest fire with a squirt gun. It ignores the fundamental nature of the fire. The reason your brain is shrinking isn't because you aren't thinking hard enough. It is because your brain is slowly starving to death. Let's look at the human OS specs. Your brain represents only about 2% of your total body weight, yet it demands a staggering 20% of your total energy intake. It is a metabolic Ferrari. It requires a massive, constant stream of high-octane fuel to maintain the trillions of electrical impulses firing across your synapses. The common myth tells you that aging causes memory loss. That is false. Metabolic dysfunction causes memory loss. For the last 40 years, you have been given a nutritional roadmap that was destined to drive your brain off a cliff. You were told to eat heart-healthy grains, 6 to 11 servings a day. You were told to graze on snacks to keep your blood sugar up. This advice triggered a biological cascade that is arguably the true enemy of your gray matter: chronically elevated insulin. When you constantly spike your blood glucose with the standard diet, your cells eventually stop listening to insulin's knock at the door. We call this insulin resistance. You might know it as the precursor to type 2 diabetes, but neurologists are now calling Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes. Here is the mechanism. When your brain cells become insulin resistant, they lose the ability to absorb glucose efficiently. They are literally swimming in a sea of sugar, yet they are starving to death on the inside. When a neuron cannot get fuel, it doesn't just sit there. It undergoes apoptosis. It commits cellular suicide. So, when you forgot your anniversary or walked into that room blank-faced, it wasn't a character flaw. It wasn't because you didn't read enough books. It's not your fault. You were following a user manual that broke the machine. You were feeding a Ferrari with diesel fuel and wondering why the engine started knocking. We have identified the enemy. It is a fuel crisis in the cranium. But simply cutting sugar isn't the whole story. You need a system to force those dying neurons to accept fuel again. There is a specific hormonal switch in your body, a master regulator that determines whether your brain burns dirty fuel or clean fuel. Most people have this switch stuck in the off position. In the next chapter, I'm going to show you how to flip it. But be warned, it involves rethinking the one thing you've likely been doing since you were a toddler. Before we open the hood of the human OS, I want to gauge where your baseline is right now. Pause the video for 1 second and scroll down. I want you to comment below with how often you experience that brain fog or word-finding difficulty. Is it daily, weekly, or just rarely? Be honest. I want to see the data in the comments to show you that you are not alone in this. Okay, let's get to the fix. We established that your brain is shrinking because it is starving. The insulin resistance is locking the doors to the fuel. To fix this, we need to execute a system override. We need to introduce you to the most important acronym in neuroscience that almost no doctor talks about: BDNF, Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor. If your brain is a garden, BDNF is the miracle grow. It is a protein that acts as a fertilizer for your neurons. It does 3 critical things. It maintains the survival of existing neurons, it encourages the growth of synapses, and incredibly, it supports neurogenesis, the birth of brand new brain cells in the hippocampus. So why isn't your body producing enough of it? Think of your bloodstream like a busy highway system leading to the brain. Insulin is the traffic cop. When you eat the standard diet, toast for breakfast, sandwich for lunch, pasta for dinner, that traffic cop is standing in the middle of the intersection, blowing his whistle 24/7. The intersection is jammed. When insulin is high and active, it effectively puts up a roadblock for BDNF. The construction crew, the BDNF, sits in the truck, unable to get to the site, while the potholes in your memory just get deeper. The human OS fix is not about shouting at the traffic cop. It is about building a completely new highway that doesn't require a cop at all. This brings us to the hybrid engine concept. Your body is designed to run on 2 fuel sources, glucose and ketones. Glucose is dirty fuel. It burns fast, creates exhaust, and requires insulin to work. Ketones are the clean energy. They are the solar power of the body. Here is the aha moment. Ketones do not require insulin to enter the brain. Even if your brain cells are completely insulin resistant, even if they have deaf ears to glucose, they will happily drink up ketones. When you switch your metabolic state, you bypass the broken insulin pathway entirely. You are literally bringing a backup generator online to power the dying lights in your brain. It gets better because the presence of ketones acts as a signaling mechanism that tells your DNA to ramp up production of BDNF. It's a double whammy. You provide a superfuel that bypasses the blockage, and you trigger the release of the fertilizer to rebuild the atrophy. This is the system. We move from a sugar burner, high atrophy, low energy, to a fat burner, high repair, infinite energy. Now, you might be thinking, great, I need ketones. Do I just buy a supplement? Absolutely not. Exogenous ketones are a crutch. We need your liver to manufacture them endogenously, because the process of making them is where the healing magic happens. There are two distinct biological pathways to force your body to make this switch. One involves what you put in your mouth, and the other involves when you put it there. In the next chapter, we're going to break down Pathway 1. It involves a nutrient that has been demonized since the 1970s, but is actually the structural building block of your brain itself.
Recap. We established that to stop the brain from shrinking, we need to switch fuel sources from glucose, sugar, to ketones, fat, which triggers the release of BDNF. But how do we practically force the body to make this switch? It requires understanding two distinct biological pathways. This is where most people get it wrong. They try to force the result without understanding the mechanism. We are about to get into the granular science of cellular repair. If you want to truly master your biology and stop relying on outdated guidelines, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon right now. I'm releasing a mitochondria masterclass next week that pairs perfectly with this protocol, and you do not want to miss it. Now, let's look at the mechanisms. Pathway 1, the lipid restructuring, the demonized nutrient. The nutrient I teased in the last chapter is dietary fat, specifically the structural fats like omega-3 DHA and saturated fats that have been vilified for 50 years. You have been told to eat a low-fat diet to save your heart, but nobody told you that a low-fat diet is effectively a starvation plan for your brain. Here is the hard science. Your brain is approximately 60% fat by dry weight. It is the fattiest organ in the human body. Every single neuron you have is wrapped in a protective coating called myelin, which acts like the rubber insulation on an electrical wire. This insulation ensures that electrical signals travel fast and don't short-circuit. What is myelin made of? Cholesterol and fat. When you strip fat from your diet and replace it with carbohydrates, you are depriving your brain of its raw construction materials. You are trying to repair a brick wall using bubble gum. Furthermore, your cell membranes, the skin of your cells, need to be fluid and flexible to let neurotransmitters in and out. This fluidity relies entirely on the quality of fats you eat. If you are eating inflammatory seed oils, canola, soybean, or avoiding fat altogether, your cell membranes become rigid and inflamed. They turn into brick walls. Insulin can't get in. Nutrients can't get in. Waste can't get out. So, Pathway 1 is the reintroduction of high-quality fats to rebuild the physical structure of the brain. But simply eating fat isn't enough if you are still constantly eating sugar. Pathway 2, the metabolic flip, glycogen depletion. This is the mechanism that actually triggers the production of ketones. Your liver acts like a fuel tank. It stores sugar in the form of glycogen. As long as that tank is full, your body will never burn fat. Why would it? It has easy, quick energy right there in the tank. To get to the human OS fat-burning mode, you have to drain the tank. This brings us to the most powerful tool in our arsenal, time-restricted feeding, often called intermittent fasting. When you stop eating for a set period, your body burns through the circulating sugar in your blood. Then it burns through the glycogen in your liver. Once those tanks run dry, usually around the 12 to 14-hour mark of fasting, the liver panics just for a moment. It says, "We are out of sugar." To survive, It unlocks your body fat, adipose tissue, breaks it down into fatty acids, and converts those into ketones. This moment, the flip, is where the magic happens. Pathway 3, autophagy, the janitorial crew. This is the critical concept for preventing Alzheimer's and dementia. When you enter that fasted state and ketones rise, a secondary process activates called autophagy. From the Greek, auto, self, and phage, eating, self-eating. It sounds gruesome, but it is glorious. During autophagy, your cells look around and identify old, broken junk proteins that are clogging up the system. In the brain, these junk proteins often manifest as amyloid beta plaques and tau tangles, the physical hallmarks of Alzheimer's disease. These are the sticky gunk that jams up the synaptic gears. When you are constantly eating, your body is in growth mode, mTOR. It is too busy building new cells to clean up the old ones. It's like throwing a house party 24/7. The trash piles up because the cleaners can never get in. In contrast, when you fast, you shut down the party. The cleaners, autophagy, come in. They scour the brain, identify these misfolded proteins and plaques, and literally digest them to recycle for parts. If you never fast, if you are eating from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., you never activate autophagy. You are letting the trash pile up in your brain for decades, until the room is so full of garbage that you can't think. So the mechanism is clear. We need high-quality fats to rebuild the structure, and we need strategic periods of emptiness to clean out the waste. But how do we put this into a daily schedule without making your life miserable? That is the protocol we cover in the next chapter.
Theory is useless without execution. We know the mechanism. Low insulin plus high ketones equals high BDNF, brain repair. Now we are going to convert that biology into a daily protocol. This is the human OS neuroprotection routine. Do not try to do everything at once. Start with step 1, master it for a week, then add step 2. Step 1, the 16-8 neuro reset, the when. The average person eats over a 15-hour window. This is metabolic insanity. Your protocol. We are compressing your eating window to 8 hours. Stop eating at 8 p.m. This is non-negotiable. Late-night snacking is the single most destructive habit for your brain because it spikes insulin so hard that you create reactive hypoglycemia. You will crash, you will get brain fog, and you will stop the repair process instantly. Protocol. Your first meal must be high-fat, moderate protein, zero carb. The meal. 3 eggs with the yolks, that's where the choline is, essential for neurotransmitters, half an avocado, and perhaps some wild-caught sardines or salmon. The secret weapon. Add 1 tablespoon of MCT oil, medium-chain triglyceride, or coconut oil to your coffee or meal. Why? MCTs are unique. Unlike other fats that have to be digested slowly, MCTs bypass the lymphatic system and go straight to the liver, where they are instantly converted into ketones. Even if you have some sugar in your system, MCTs force a ketone spike. It is like rocket fuel for neurons. Step 3, the BDNF sprint, the accelerator. We want to amplify the BDNF signal. The most potent trigger for BDNF isn't a supplement, it's high-intensity interval training, HIIT. Protocol. Perform your exercise in the fasted state, right before you eat that first meal, around 11 a.m. or 11:30. The workout. You don't need an hour, you need 10 minutes. Do a warm-up, then do 30 seconds of maximum effort, sprinting, cycling, burpees, followed by 90 seconds of rest. Repeat this 4 to 6 times. Why? When you exercise while fasted, your body perceives a survival stress. It thinks you're running from a predator or hunting for food. In response, it floods the brain with BDNF to sharpen your senses and improve your reaction time. You are hacking your survival instincts to build a better brain. Step 4. The shutdown, the glymphatic flush. Finally, we need to optimize the waste clearance that happens while you sleep. Protocol. Sleep in a cool room, 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and sleep on your side, not your back or stomach. Why? Recent research suggests that the glymphatic system, the plumbing system that flushes out amyloid plaques, works up to 25% more efficiently when you are in the lateral decubitus position, on your side. It uses gravity and intracranial pressure to drain the toxins into the lymphatic vessels. The summary protocol: fast for 16 hours, 8 p.m. to 12 p.m., sprint for 10 minutes before breaking the fast, feast on healthy fats and proteins to break the fast, sleep on your side to flush the waste. This is not just a diet, it is an operating system update for your physiology. Now, I know this sounds intense. You might be thinking, I can't skip breakfast, I'll starve. But remember Chapter 2. That hunger isn't real hunger, it's withdrawal from the sugar. In the final section, I'm going to recap everything into a rapid-fire checklist so you can screenshot it, and I'll tell you exactly where to go from here to keep this momentum going. Let's lock this in. We covered a lot of ground today, but the takeaway is simple. Number 1, the problem isn't age, it's energy. Your brain is shrinking because it is starving. Years of high-sugar, high-carb eating have created insulin resistance, locking the fuel out of your brain cells. You are running a Ferrari on empty. Number 2, the solution is the hybrid switch. We need to switch from burning dirty glucose to burning clean ketones. This bypasses the broken insulin door and powers your neurons directly. Number 3, the mechanism is BDNF. When you make this switch, you trigger Brain-Derived Neurotrophic Factor. This is the fertilizer that stops atrophy and actually grows new brain cells. Number 4, the protocol. Stop eating at 8 p.m. Give your brain a break. Fast until 12 p.m. Let the glycogen tank run dry so the liver starts making ketones. Break your fast with fat, not sugar. Eggs, avocado, MCT oil. Keep the insulin low. Move before you eat. A 10-minute sprint session in the fasted state acts as a massive signal for brain repair. Now you have the human OS protocol for when to eat, but we still need to master exactly what to eat to fix the root cause, insulin resistance. If you don't fix the insulin resistance, this fasting protocol will feel like torture because your body won't be able to access its fat stores efficiently. You need to know the specific signs that you are insulin resistant before you even start fasting. I have a video right here called 7 Signs of Insulin Resistance and How to Reverse It. This is the prequel to everything we just talked about. If you struggled with the brain fog question in Chapter 3, you need to watch this video next. It explains how to unclog the filter so the fasting becomes effortless. Click right here, and I'll see you in the next class.